Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
It's hard when you're looking for love, but it ain't there. Try to read what tomorrow.
Detroit is directed by Kathryn Bigelow and starring John Boyega, Anthony Mackie, L.G. Smith, Jacob Lattimore, Will Poulter, and Jason Mitchell. Before I go any further, I just want to say there will not be any plot spoilers in this review. This film takes place during the 1967 riots in Detroit, Michigan, particularly centered around the events that happened in the Algiers motel, where 3 African American men were killed and 9 people were tortured by police. This film is very raw when it comes to its aspects, especially emotionally, aesthetically, and when it portrays the events that occurred during that time. Of course, when any film is portraying historical events, a lot of artistic license is taken, a lot of things are dramatized in order to make them more cinematic. The first and second acts of this film I find particularly captivating because it gives us certain historical context of race relations in the United States during the 1960s, particularly in Detroit, Michigan, where things were very, very bad. This was essentially a war zone. Kathryn Bigelow chose to depict it in a docudrama style to give a rather real sense to it, and it very much feels like that, and I have to give her and the cinematographer a lot of credit for choosing that particular technique. This film is different from most because we are not following one character throughout these events. We are following a multitude of characters from a bunch of different perspectives, and we are also seeing a lot of just the city of Detroit itself kind of enveloped in chaos, and it almost as if Detroit itself is a character, and I found that to be very interesting. But when we do kind of finally settle down, we get the main event, which happens at the Algiers motel. The second act of this film and the bulk of this film takes place at the Algiers motel, where the police are investigating what they believe to be a sniper shot, but what turns out to be an actual toy gun going off. And what that leads to is a very harsh sequence of just unrelenting dread and fear, certainly anger, and all kinds of emotional responses from us as the viewers, as well as what is happening on screen. The acting in this film, I feel, is very strong, particularly the actors of Jason Mitchell, Anthony Mackie, and Will Poulter. This film is a bit of a breakout role for Will Poulter. He is portraying a character who I believe to be just one of the most evil and hateful characters I've seen on screen in a while, and he does it very, very well. There is also a lot of dramatic depth in this film, and that is one of the main strengths of it for me. This film is, of course, dealing with racial issues, it is dealing with human issues, it is dealing with violence, it's dealing with peace, it's dealing with all kinds of different responses, and what is most interesting about it is it's kind of a mirror view of a lot of the things that are happening today within our culture. Unfortunately, racism, of course, still exists. A lot of the anger that breeds is still out there, and we are still dealing with a lot of the elements that are in this film. Unfortunately, I don't think the film is saying a lot of new things about our relationship when it comes to racial issues. It is just kind of giving us a lot of what we already know. We know that racial tensions have been a problem in this country for a very long time. We know that they continue to be a problem, and we also know that they are probably not going to be going away anytime soon. I also think that the film suffers from plot pacing issues when it comes to portraying all of these events. The film does clock in at about 2 hours and 20, 2 hours and 30 minutes, around there, and I began to feel that when it came to the third act. I felt that the film really didn't know really where to go after the very powerful events at the Algiers motel, and we get kind of this aftermath that almost feels a little bit tacked on. Also, I think the aesthetic and style of the film may not be for everyone. It is, like I said, a docudrama, a lot of handheld cameras, a lot of kind of rapid movement when it comes to the cameras, but I think that was all in there to really immerse us into this world, really make us feel like we are part of these events. And it worked for me. It may not work for others, but I think Kathryn Bigelow's direction was very, very good. Some of the shots in this film I think are just gorgeous. With all that being said, I'm going to give this film a 4 out of 5 stars. I think that it is an important film to watch. The direction, the acting is all fantastic, and it is another strong entry into the Kathryn Bigelow filmography. This has been my review of Detroit. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.